Easy E, down under. How are we?
Shawnee, why are you upside down?
Which way does the toilet go when you fly? I always think of that episode from The Simpsons. I don't know why. And if everything from Australia, it's just that Simpsons episode. The koala bear come back on the plane. I probably lost half the audience. This one again, but that's just for some reason I haven't seen an episode in 25 years, and that just popped into my head as soon as you mentioned that upside down. How are you getting on over there?
Good, yeah. Shook off the tiredness from the long flights. Had a great sleep. Got 10 hours sleep last night. Started my holiday with a gym session this morning. Did a little circuit. Then I went kayaking. And then I went on a 10K cycle on a mountain bike over the hills. By the way, Brisbane, very hilly.
Are you on an actual relaxing holiday? Does this sound like a training cycle for you at the moment? Or is it just what you do over in Australia? There's so much to do, like.
There's so much to do. There's so much to see. In fairness to my brother, he is well kid out with anything you want to do for sport. So we loaded up the trailer this morning with kayaks for the kids. We had a 3-man kayak. So we had a great day. But yeah, it's seeing turtles on the bank when we were kayaking along, and got bitten by a couple of ants as I was getting the kayaks out of the Jeep. And then Katie got bitten by a catfish in the river as well because she got too close to the nest. Everything tries to kill you here. It's unbelievable.
The time I was getting a little bit jealous of all the stuff you're doing over there. All of these things biting you stuff. I'm kind of happy freezing myself over here instead. The only bite I'm getting over here is frostbite.
Yeah, we went on a cycle today. I think it was 31 today degrees, and we went on a cycle. But it was a bit overcast. We're like, this is nice, and the thunderstorms were coming. I was like, we might miss it. We did not. But it was the warmest rain, and I mean, like, it was torrential, but the warmest rain. It was so nice because we were going up these big hills.
Yeah.
And had it been just warm, oh my God, I would have been sweating so hard. But because it was just this torrential rain, I was like, this is lovely.
Like cycling in the shower.
Yeah, no, 100% was like cycling in the shower. I might try it when I get home.
Put the turbo trailer in the.
But it was really good. But yeah, like it's like I have time. I'm on holidays. I have time to train. Like, so when you're at home, we're all stressed out. We're all going from one thing to another and this and that. And whereas now I woke up early. I went to bed at 8:00 last night. I couldn't keep my eyes open any longer. And then I woke up at about 5:30 and I was like, I'll go down and do something because it's in the garage. And I just kept thinking about it. I was like, it's right downstairs.
Yeah.
But I watched, went to watch my niece do a 1K swim. So she's only 7 years of age, but they train the kids over here. Obviously, it's everything is so active over here. They treat sport and activity really, really well. But she was doing her second 1K swim, so she's progressed to be able to do the 1 kilometer swim, and she did it in 24 minutes. 7 years of age. I was like, I'd struggle to do that now with a month or two of training. Like, it's
like, I wouldn't do that at all.
Yeah, like it's unbelievable. But like, that's her. But there was like 150 kids doing this. It's
phenomenal.
And then we went on a cycle last night. So she did the 1K swim and then came on a cycle with me around here. We did about a 10K cycle after she's done that. And then they still have enough energy to start attacking me in the evening. I'm like, please go to bed.
That's just a completely different way of treating sport and living over there, it seems. That's you now for the next 3 weeks. You better be on real shape for you come back now. This is it.
Yeah. Next 3 weeks we'll try and do a few little bits. I wouldn't say on real shape, but I won't be extra large. I'll definitely be maintaining and focusing on the core work and the push-ups and stuff, and
enjoying yourself too, because you're on holidays. So enjoying yourself too, because you're on holidays. I mean, you don't have anything signed up for the next couple of months. Am I right in saying that? You don't have big events.
Yeah. No, we're clean slate for a couple of months, but yeah, maintenance into buildings. The next 3 weeks is kind of recover from what we did over the last 6 weeks between the different events. So that's why we're back into the gym and just cycling for enjoyment. Like we did a 10k hilly cycle, but it was just an enjoyable one. It wasn't how quick can we get to the top of the hill, or it's just being active. It's just using the body again, easing it back into things and stuff. But yeah, that's the plan for the next 3 weeks, is to come home moderately okay, and when I come home, have enough stability, have enough kind of relaxed but working relaxation into the body that I can start into a training plan pretty much over the Christmas.
Brilliant. Smart plan. Unfortunately, I went for the opposite and did another race. This is Sunday morning's recording this. I did another race yesterday that we're going to talk about after the intro music for this week's episode of the Any Given Monday podcast. Now I've said that, we're just going to hit the intro music. Let's go. This, in one respect, Eric, is a study in contrast, because you're nice and warm over there. I'm still got the hood up. I've got the radiator right beside me. I am freezing over here right now. But I finished stiff and sore yesterday, because yesterday was Run the Line. One of my favorite events of the year. If anyone is interested in trail running, it has a little bit of everything. It's just the mountains, the views. You're going through the woods, the forest, 1 minute, next paths, next minute on boardwalks, just all these different things. Like, if you're ever interested in doing it, there's a 13k option. I cannot recommend it enough. However, I can recommend you do the complete opposite of what I did for it, because what I got from your podcast last week. So last week when we talked about you doing Westport, and subconsciously I must have been listening to it going, he had a good idea. You and Mark, because you got the puncture in the tire, you ended up being last at the start, and I must have thought that was a good idea to do that, because that's exactly what happened to me yesterday. Now, as I talk about this story, this has nothing to do with the organization of Run the Line, just to clear that out from the get-go. I messed this up. I should have been there. I should have been there an hour beforehand. I should have been there, registered and all, set up, good to go. But instead, my wave, I want to get in the middle wave, was supposed to start at 20 to 11, which I love that. It's not on that early either. You have to go up at crack of dawn. But unfortunately, I took liberties with that. And it was like, I'll get there around 10:15, register. I'll be around for 10 minutes, make sure I go to the toilet beforehand. And sure, the race just start then to it. And unfortunately, I got there 10:15 and I was back in line for registration. And I had a full bladder. And I'm like, right, I've got two choices. I make it to the toilet or I register first. I said, I better register first just in case. By the time I registered, it was 5 to 11. And I was near the last as well. I was lawless. I was grand, because the L to Z line was just empty. But the A to K line for the long run was just very long. And I was at the very back of it. So once again, I messed up here. By the time I got registered, 5 to, and I got out, I couldn't even get the safety pins into the fucking my number, just because I was panicking to get it done. I could see a short course starting, and I could see all the elite lads there good to go. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get caught in the middle of them. So I had no time to go to the toilet, the full bladder, and it's a kilometre uphill. I said, I have to get ahead of these lads real fast. I do not want them catching me. So bang, I went to your man there to start. And I was like, I'm supposed to be in a long course. Can I go now instead of waiting on them? He's like, yeah, no bother. So I was like, right, sprinting up that hill. I'm not letting them catch me. I have to go. Sprinted up. I looked at the watch. It was a half kilometre in, and it's all uphill. And I am huffing. My bladder is going to explode. And I'm like, God, you are in trouble here, pal. I eventually passed one person, and I got so tired that person passed me out. Dara sent me a picture of one of the Run the Line pictures I put up last night. And you just see me near the top of the hill, and I look gassed. That's like a kilometre and a half into it. I'll put that as the picture for the thing. I was goosed. The worst thing about it, a kilometre and a half in, it's still uphill, because it's all uphill for the first 2K. Here come the elites passing me out, and I'm walking, and I'm like, I have messed this up big time. I felt a bag of shit. Complete bag. And I wouldn't mind, but did the same thing last year. And last year I was like, I don't mind what I do in this. I'll just do a steady start and keep it steady and see how I get on. And I was grand. But I just pretty much blew my load in the first 2 minutes of it. And I was goosed. Just in a bad way.
Did you start making excuses to everyone who was passing you, going, "Oh, look, I was saying."
If I had the energy to, I would have. I was like, Shit.
Oh,
So
no.
thankfully,
No.
there's a point where there's a load of people passing me out, and it's very soon into his 3K where you turn right for the short course and you turn left for the long course, or straight on up for the long course. And I got to that, and the majority of
And
people
turned right.
were turning right. I'm like, oh, grand. And then I see a few people up ahead, and I'm like, oh, I'm not actually doing too bad, because I think I might have catching up on these people, or they started later than me and passed me out, and I couldn't tell. I was like, oh, I'm doing okay. But around 4.5K in, I just saw a little gap in the woods that led to absolutely nowhere. And I was like, pit stop McLaren, I am gone. 2 minutes later, back out. I felt like a new man. I was like taking the spinach and all the rest, and off I was again. And I was doing me goggins, slowly catching up with people. But it was such an eye-opener, and it's humbling to see just like at the start, obviously seeing all those elite people going, they were on the shorter course, but still a hell of a lot faster than I am. I think they just wanted to race that and see how fast they could do it. Doesn't mean anything in terms of fitness, but just see how fast they were. And then around 8K in, you're coming up a hill and you kind of see all the elites coming down the hill, and they are bombing it down. Like they're doing this course, 26K with all the hills and mountains in like 2 hours, 2:10, 2:15. And it's just phenomenal to see. It's very humbling. Just like, ooh, they are next level. I'm like, I've got a couple of events lined up for next year. I really need to get myself in gear, in shape for it. But yeah, I was just kind of steady myself, and I kept going from there, from the hills and everything else. And it's slippy and slidey a little bit here and there and all the rest. But I was 13K up. My proudest moment should have been my most humiliating moment. I was on the flat past Tree Rock heading down there. So I think it was around 19K into it. It's a good long flat. And I'm running, and I'm like, I'm not doing too bad. I might get close to the sub 3 hour goal. I wanted to beat last year's time. I'm like, oh, it's touch and go at this stage. Depends how much hills are left in this, whether I do or not. Because around 45 minutes or so left, and I've got 6 left. I'm like, it could be possible. Switched off. First time I switched off in the whole thing. And I tripped.
Oh, no.
And as I was falling forward, I swear to God, I saw the bushes, and I was just like, aim for the bush. And I'm going to put it down to a previous life of training, but I managed to get the right forearm out in front, took the left shoulder, and like rolled through it. As I rolled through it, I rolled through it so fast, I almost roundhouse kicked the guys in front of me, the backs of the legs. I was like, I'm sorry. Like, yeah, right. I'm like, yeah, I kind of rolled up my feet. I'm like, I'm not even hurt at all. Like, I could have just snotted myself and been an awful way, but I just managed to roll at times. Like, kind of proud of that. And then I ran away from them as fast as I could. It was the fastest I ran all day. I was like, right, just get out of there now as quick as I can. But near the end, I was like, oh, I'm not too far away from this 3 hour. It could be close. And they changed the end of the course. They had their little sting in the tail, which is a true heartbreak kill. It was like, I thought I was done. And I just heard two girls just in front of me as I passed them out. And they're like, that is fucking demoralizing. And I was like, I'm not that bad, am I? What's all with demoralizing passing? And Jenny was like, yeah, bitch, what was wrong with me passing you out there? And I saw the hill. I'm like, oh, I see what she's talking about. That's absolutely rough. That wasn't there last year. So I just barely made my way up there.
See, this is the thing I don't get when they change the course. What's the point in timing it?
I suppose to yourself for next year when doing it. Maybe they had different reasons and stuff like that. Do you honestly, it was a nice little add-on. It was a nice little, oh, you think you're done? No, you're not. Like, in terms of a challenge, yeah. But it depends what your goal is. It's nice to go with your last, like...
It's nice to know it's there when you know it's coming. You're like, oh, you think you're done, and that hill at the end. Do you know, like, it's... Just when you come from the year before doing it, and you're like, right, I'm trying to beat my time, and then you're just left demoralized because you're like, they added in a whole other fucking hill. Like,
I was near the top of the hill. I was like, this is new, isn't it? Because I didn't remember half the course. Like, I don't know why. Like, some of it was very familiar, and like, I'm just not good with that area or naming names and stuff like that. Because there's probably people listening going, hey, you didn't mention this, this, and this. I just know it was this kind of hill, it was this kind of boardwalk. There was a path there, and then there was a forest again. I don't know the names of the hills, so I'm not that helpful there. But I was near the top of it, and I'm like, this is new, isn't it? He's like, yeah, this is new. It's the sting in the tail. I was like, well, I got an excuse now for not beating last year's time, so thank you very much for that. But I was just, I wasn't beating the time anyway. That was a bit demoralizing as well. I know I had the rough start and stuff, but I don't know. I felt rough. Like, when I did I knew. I did the 8 or 9K. I was delighted at 26 because I knew I had more in me. That I didn't do the 13 and just cut off doing that. But at the same time, like I didn't. It was a tough course. I didn't run it. I like definitely it's got the hills. I was walking. I felt gassed. I felt like, you know what, my season is over here in terms of like races and stuff like that. It's like I need to pull back. I don't know if it's Dublin catching up with me. I don't know if it's just a bad day or what it was. But I just like when you were talking about the intro there, the podcast going, now I've got my maintenance and stuff like that, and just to pull back after the last couple of weeks is done. I feel like I'm this. I don't know if I'm making excuses because I felt very sore after not initially afterwards, but after the drive home, I was in an absolute heap, and I'm like, I'm like, I whatever. Like normally I go for like a light run today. That's definitely not happening. Like I limped out here to the office for this podcast.
Yeah, I think like for me, I notice people go through there's physical burnout. And then there's just that motivational burnout where you've made enough deals with your body. You know, and your body eventually like, come on, like you're the IOUs have stacked up. Like, you know, can you please fuck off for a couple of weeks? You know, I've really like I did no training, so I'm kind of relatively fresh. But even my body, I was like, I know I haven't trained yet, so if you can please get me through the next 6 weeks, I'll be very grateful. And now that I'm here, it was like, do you remember we had a deal? So now it's like doing things that I just enjoy. You know, like because I find. Or maybe you're going a different way of thinking on it, but I'd find if you kept doing it now, Sean, you'd fall out of love with it fairly quick.
I have, I mean, like to be honest with you, it's been go throughout the year, with the exception of I had 4 to 5 weeks after I did a half marathon where I got the laser eye surgery, and that was a cooling off period. And then I was like, right, back to the 5K. I tried to get the 5K thing. I did that twice, 3 times, I think, going for that. And that led me straight into the 80K, which led me straight into the Galway Marathon, Dublin Marathon, and then run the line. And to be honest with you, I was going to plan near the end of the year looking for a 5K race. I've had a few in mind for doing just that one more time, sub 20. But when I was out there yesterday, I just realized I haven't got the gas. I haven't got the engine for it. So it's like back to I'm going to do a good bit in the gym and stuff like that and get a bit more conditioning in there, but then build the long runs because I thought I had a lot of time for Art O'Neill. I've only got 7-8 weeks for that now. So that's the 60K, which just happens to be another Dublin Wicklow Mountain Rescue Team event. That's the 3 events a year: run the line, walk the line, and the Art O'Neill. So the Art O'Neill officially signed up for that. That's 8 weeks, 60K. And the way I felt yesterday, I'm in no shape or condition to do 60K, which is mad because like I obviously did 80K probably 7-8 weeks ago. I did Dublin. I did 3.5 hours there 3 weeks ago. Last year, I did the Thoroughbred Marathon 3:55, and I was the same pace 3 weeks later doing run the line this year as it was last year. I thought I would have been comfortably under 3 hours, so that's why I personally feel a bit demoralized and stuff over because I'm like something's not right in terms of like I know I should be a lot fitter throughout the training I've done this year last year. So I was like telling people I'll comfortably get under 3 hours to run the line. Now I know I messed myself up with a bad start, and we've talked about it before in the podcast, get to those races early. But to be honest, I just didn't want to stand out in the cold for so long before. I was like, I'll get there a little bit later. But I think a lot of people had the same idea, and that's where I'm not the event organizers. Once again, that's not on them. If I got my ass there an hour earlier, that's on me. If I got there an hour earlier, I would have been registered. It would have been a completely different race. I would have been with the wave, would have paced myself and all the rest. I still don't know if I would have got sub 3 hours though. I think I don't know. The body could just go away. Not happen.
When you're kind of chasing it and when you're in your own head from that early, you're gonna have not a bad day, but you're gonna have a busy brain day. But I think you hit a few key points there in your own analysis where you were saying, look, I ran this fast. I should be under this, but I'm not. Yeah. And I think that's your body starting to tell you to piss off now as well, because there is that fine line between fit, peaking, and then like counter work. And I think you're in that stage now where no matter how hard you try, you're going to degrade your ability. You'd be better off swinging in your chair now for 2 weeks, and you'd probably run a better race, or 3 weeks. You'd probably run the line a half hour quicker than you'd ever would. You know, like it's you're in that detraining phase.
Yeah, I
You're
think
just
so. Like,
overtraining the body or overreaching, whatever Garmin or whatever, whoever wants to label whatever it is you're doing. But yeah, you're regressing by continuing on this little path. And yeah, run the line's gonna be it's not easy for you. Yeah, you're taking on you're putting another big load onto the body now. So I'm quite glad I don't have it now. I'm glad that the lottery system decided I was not worthy. And I think I've decided I actually don't want it now.
well, one of us had to talk about the podcast in the new year, so it may as well have been me.
we do anything for a 30-minute shy talk.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's now, but it's the run the line. I know a good few people doing it. Like it does look like a great event. Unfortunately, I have I could do it. The Westport one, I think probably doing Westport and then a week later doing that is probably a little bit silly. So as much as I'd like to, I think I already have my November niche. So yeah, no, but it sounds like good one. I knew a good few people doing it yesterday. Some people putting in some great times, and it seems to be a nice one. It does have its hills and stuff, but it's not as lethal, or it's enjoyable.
Like when I felt my mistake, once again, I switched off that split second, I was gone. But it does have, like I was talking to small bit of Dara online yesterday, has a small bit of everything. I was talking to Marky. He would have been great for the podcast today because, like, I was talking to him at the end of the race, and I was starting to get really, really cold talking to him when he noticed it before he went off the Australia game. And like he was mentioning everything like in detail and names of stuff. And he just saw me. He's like, "You have no idea what I'm talking about." I'm like, "Nah, I did the race, and I don't remember half of this, Mackie. Like, I don't remember what I did today, let alone half of what I did on it last year. So I've nothing to compare to right now." But he does a lot of the trails and stuff there. They had a lot of he talked before in his podcast. If you're interested, Trevor, and definitely listen to his one again with the Irish Mountain. IMRA, I think it is, IE, and there's a lot of those t-shirts and all around there. Race Association, I assume the last part's called. Yeah, stuff like that. If you want to get into trails, I definitely haven't done enough trail running. But I know I've got hills and stuff around here, but nothing compared to the hills in that day. So I reckon that held me back a little bit as well. But then again, I did an 80k eco trail, whereas yesterday when I got to the 26k, I was kind of like, you know what, I'm happy that this is over.
Yeah, you were probably happy it was over when your 19k tumbled. It
was a great tumble.
Thank God there's only 6k left. Get me off this mountain.
Oh, it was, yeah. I had a couple of little near slips near the end. I was like, you know what, just get off this thing injury free. I completely forgot about the sub 3 hour then. I was like, you know what, just get me off this mountain. I want to stay injury free off and see how it goes from there. So bit sore and stiff today. I'll probably mostly do gym work and the slow running. I might try and get one set of intervals in a week, but then pull it right back until I've away for a couple of weeks. I'll wait for a week in December, and after that, then be full steam ahead for the Arthur Neal. So it's just like yourself said, pretty much the same as you now. It's just maintenance. So I don't know what we're going to talk about the podcast over the next couple of weeks, but we'll come up with something.
So come here, by way of closing out next year, 26k, run the line.
Am I? I have to, yeah. I've totally unfinished business. And I know what the annoying thing is, when I asked myself the same question yesterday, I was like, nah, I'm done. I'm finished with it. I'll do Westport instead. But now the more I think about it, the more I'm kind of annoyed myself. I'm like, right, I need to go back, do it again, make it a better showing for myself, and get that under for myself, get that under 3 and feel good in it. So yeah, I kind of have to do it one more time.
Yeah, no, I have a few other things on next year. I don't know if I'll do it next year. Maybe another year. But yeah, Westport. If I decide to do the shorter course in Westport, if I decide to run the line, I'll do the shorter course in Westport. It's the only way I'm going to do the 2 in 2 weeks.
Well, I might have to do the same myself.
Yeah. But then when it comes to clicking the button, my hand just goes supreme. I think it's
a glitch. It's a glitch in the phone. I don't know. I keep going the shorter one. The longer one keeps popping up.
Like we'll draw the comparison. We'll do the same in Westport, and then you click 13k on run the line.
I was thinking this because I had a lot of time to think of this. One, yes, I'm not avoiding that. I agree with you. I'll do that. But 2, because I've kind of touched on this a few times, especially with the Eco Trail. myself and yourself are more kind of like, right, we're never going to win the race. So it's always the longest distance to try and keep going. So when we do say that, I always feel like when we say that, we're putting down the shorter races. But my God, there's some elite athletes that if they did the longer race, they'd absolutely, smoke the two of us. But it's like some of them want to go all out sprint in the shorter one, kind of like an all out 5K where we're like, oh man, I'd rather do a 10 or a half marathon, where they have that kind of that just sprint and try and win it.
If you think about it though, in fairness, like I know we've Rachel on, and Rachel will always say it, she hates the long distance. And to be honest, we probably would beat her, because after a while she probably just gets so annoyed and be like, fuck this shit. Whereas we'll be just happy as Larry chucking along, and it's whereas she'd take a shorter distance over a longer distance anytime. And those who are doing the 13K, like they want to be done quickly, they're not using the nerves. They're just getting through it, they're getting done, they're getting warm very quick and getting off very quick, like it's a different level of fitness that I don't want to go to. I didn't develop it at a younger age, and it's not going to come in my older age. So endurance and longer distance is the only way I'm going to go. It's the same in the triathlon series. Like you do an Olympic, you'll fare okay. You won't win it. You won't come last. You might be middle of the pack with a bit of training. At my level and interest, with a lackluster swimming ability and okay cycling ability, and I can get around the running track. But once you go to sprint, it's a whole, like I'm pretty much guaranteed to be near the back of the pack, because the sprint distance is flat to the mat. The swim, they're going at some pace. They get on the bike and they're churning the watts because it's half the distance. So holding the 300, 350 watts for 20K is doable. They're off the bike in 30 minutes. Whereas when you have to go for the hour, like you have to slow it down. Everyone has to consider, the energy level at the basic level. Elite levels is different animals altogether. But and then you go for Ironman. Like now again, there are some freaks out there, but I would like to think I'd fare better over an Ironman than I would over the other stuff. Given that I prefer just going over longer distance.
It's a mindset thing as well. Like I was talking to a friend the other night, and I was telling him that like it's only 26K. And I'm like, shut up! It's only 26K. I'm like, no. But in my head, 26K is not that far, because the amount of I could set myself up for that longer distance. And even when it was like 19K and I wanted to get off the mountain, I was like, that's only 7K left. I've done 80, so like I can pull back on it. Same with you when you're doing Westport. Like it's only 59K. I've done this before, and it's because that doing that over and over again, you can kind of set yourself up for that long distance. Where if you're going for a short though, and you're going for an all-out sprint, if it's 500 meters left, I'm like, fucking 500 meters of this sprint. That's one, it's impossible. But two, trying to build up as much pace you can over that last 500 meters sounds a lot more genuinely, a lot more daunting to me than it's only another 4K run. That makes sense?
Yeah, I know. In fact, it's just so much harder. I like, and I've ran fast, but like anyone who's like, what's much the difference? Go back to a pre-season training if you're in that way orientated. Remember, you used to do the shuttle sprints between cones, and lads would be puking up at the back of the queue before they went again. It's a different level of like capacity. Longer, like you're pushing the body to the extreme. Now you do that in long distance when you get over a certain distance, but I'm much happier getting there and then mentally figuring it out. The body is half adjusted at that stage. It's like, oh well, this is our life now. It's been 4 hours.
Yeah, so, over those 4 hours, you learn how to limp run. After those 4 hours, what's not working? Okay, right, I'll adjust as I go along here. I like that long kind of adventure kind of to it than just the all-out sprint. And I would have been disappointed if I was done like the 13K in whatever time it would have been. I would have been like, I had more left to go. Like the adventure is over already. Yeah. I want to, that's the way I approach it. And that's the way I want it. It's not necessarily the right way. But that's just how I feel on those kind of races, and why myself and yourself pick the longer ones over the shorter ones. But still, we have the goal of getting a faster time. And sometimes we hit it, and sometimes, like yesterday, we don't. But that's just the way races go. Not every race, and that's the beauty of them as well. Like sometimes you just have that off day for whatever reason, and you don't get what you get. But it makes you appreciate when you do hit those goals a lot more. Because if I was talking the podcast every time about, I just hit this goal, hit this goal, hit this goal. One, it's pretty shit to listen to. It sounds like a Miss bragging and stuff like that. But two, it means more when you do fail. And you're like, okay, fail, dust myself off, literally acid tumble, and then just pick myself back up and away you go again. And just let's try and chase that goal again, or chase towards this different goal, and always be chasing goals, and you appreciate it more when you get there.
Yeah, and for me again, like some of the events I know, like for the Westport, when the lads were all looking up their times from the year before, I was like, I couldn't give a shit.
Sometimes
like, it's just about going out. It's just about having a day out. That's all it is. So, but I hope everyone enjoyed it. It is a great event. I've seen some of it from watching online, obviously, but not even through their social media. I've seen just people I didn't expect. They were all getting together in little groups, and I suppose those who can't get away for the weekend element that we were talking about last week, it's something closer to home for those in obviously the Leinster region, that they can go do the event as a group or as colleagues, or train for it as a work event, and then 10 of them do it, and then they all disperse then that night. It is. So it's each their own. In that sense, it is a great test for people. Especially going into the hills. As soon as you tell anyone you're going running in the mountains, they're like, what's wrong with you? You're a mountain. So yeah, no, it's good. It is good. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. Glad you got around safe anyway. And we'll have to think of something to come up with now next week, because I'll have to go for a nice run in Sydney or something.
we'll figure it out next week. We do have a great kind of event and stuff at the end as well, in all fairness to them. And just to sum up how totally lost I am in geography in this one, as I exited the Glencullen Adventure Park, I turned left and I turned right, and I was like literally 100 meters up the road, and I'm like, didn't know Johnny Fox's pub was here. And that's how lost I was. Just in case, like, how come he doesn't know all the names of places like that? I didn't know how far away it was from Johnny Fox's. So with that said, we will have something new for the podcast next week. God knows what it is. Aircraft's Ventures Down Under, me trying to get back into a training. We will work on that over the week, guys. I hope you enjoyed listening to this week's episode of the Any Given One Day podcast. That's it for myself and Eric. Take care.
Bye.